welcome back to the Rules of Engagement. We're on our last portion, the question and answer portion. Got a couple questions for you guys. Let's bring up the first one. It's going to be from Ranger1SC. So I'm a Terran, but I'm trying to learn Protoss. Any fundamental tips for me? General Protoss strategy I'm probably not doing. So the first tip is, if you're going to switch races, play Heart of Swarm and give up Wings of Liberty right now. Because if you're going to learn a whole new race, might as well do it in a whole new game with, you know, do both at the same time, so it'll smooth out. You want to do two different learning curves, basically. So first, jump to Heart of Swarm for your race switching needs. And then the one thing I would do is, Protoss is a race that's really focused about timings, because warp gates can produce units so fast, and Protoss basically allows you to take advantage of production much faster than most other races. You can teleport right in front of your opponent's base, use that production aggressively the instant it kicks in. So go ahead and study a couple top Protoss replays. You know, what you'll notice is that most world-class Protoss players don't really go for long macro games, because Protoss isn't quite as suited for that. They're more suited for very, very powerful and insane timing attacks. So I'd start with those. Not to say if you don't want to play macro you can't do it, but save that for after you understand the most important strategies of Protoss, which are those timing attacks. So practice some, 1-base Void Ray builds, some 2-base Immortal builds, some 3-base Colossi Blinkstalker timings. Pick like 1 or 2 timings that are each at a different base level for each matchup. Grind those out until you can hit them really well, because that's basically Protoss fundamentals right there. So the next question is going to be from Anthony, and it is, how do you feel about Proxy Stargate Void Ray in Heart of the Swarm? Been doing it and seems to be very good. So I think it is very good. I'm not sure if you need to proxy to Stargate. Depends on the map and the spawn locations. We saw Parting did a great job of that without having to proxy at Stargate. Of course, if you proxied and it's spotted, they kill your pylon before Void Ray comes out, then you're in trouble. I would really encourage doing this build, or trying out at least. The Void Ray is much stronger in Heart of the Swarm than it was in Wings of Liberty. Things to watch out for when you're doing this build: maybe a DT rush. You're probably going to lose to that. Cloak Banshee rush. You're probably going to lose to that as well. From a Zerg player, I might not recommend a 1-base Void Ray, because Queens are a great counter to it. If they produce a lot of Queens and have Spine Cars for a ground army, you'll be in trouble too. So I wouldn't do it against Zerg. Against Terran and Protoss, I would recommend doing it. But maybe if you see them get 2 fast gases and they might be doing like a Cloak Rush, then I wouldn't do it. Otherwise, though, I think it's a great build. Throw it in there and have fun stomping some Protosses and Terrans on the ladder. Last question is going to be from Miguel Moreno, and it's when is it worth proxying tech when doing a 1-base all-in? So it really depends on the tech you're doing. So depends on the tech speed and how important it is to attack at a very specific time. So for example, if you're Dark Templar rushing, you've got to get that proxy pylon, because DTs 10 seconds later could be the difference between killing them before they get detection up, or like missing that slice on the missile turret, and the missile turret finishing, and you lose your guys. That's proxying up pylon, so it's not proxying tech. As a Protoss player, I generally recommend not proxying tech, except for a Warp Prism 4-gate all-in. The reason why that's important is because when you're doing a timing very early, a 6-pool, a 4-gate, a 2-Rax Marine, 5 to 10 seconds makes a huge difference. And your build is very all-in, and so you'd rather have the robotics in a risky position and get those 5 to 10 seconds faster. Now, if you're doing something like a Hellion drop, it's a little more iffy, because the Hellion drop isn't that all-in. You can recover from it if it fails. So you don't need to put everything to get that extra 10 seconds faster on a drop. But then again, if you're doing a Hellion drop, how do you want to follow it up? Are you going to use that starport? If yes, don't proxy it. If no, proxy it, because you're not going to use it anyway, so you can just fly it in a corner, use the scout, etc. So are you going to use that tech build in the future? If yes, don't proxy it. If no, proxy it. It's kind of the shorthand for a harass build. Basically, when in doubt, don't proxy your buildings, because it only saves 10 to 15 seconds, and in most situations, that 10 to 15 seconds won't be the end of the world if it's that much later. If it's a super all-in build, and you're going to be committed no matter what your opponent does, that case I would proxy. So So that wraps up all the questions, but please tune in again tomorrow at 5 p.m. for another Showdown qualifier match. And then, of course, following that, we're going to do analysis between the match you just saw today before Rules of Engagement, Innovation, and TY. See you guys tomorrow.